Hello everyone, today we are doing an update on our video regarding mid-game war and support units. If you have not seen that video, it's going to be the first link on the description below. And then a few years ago I explained how the support units work, just like the siege tower and the battering ram. And what we're going to do here with this video is update that information because things have changed with the Gathering Storm expansion. So here we have a siege tower next to Bulawayo. By the way, this is my Suleiman domination game. If you want to see the full domination game with Suleiman, this is a Gathering Storm domination game, so it's going to be useful if you want to go for that. I'm also going to put a link in the description below. It's on this channel. So what we want to see is that these mounted units are not so good anymore, especially because they don't get any help from the support units, from the siege tower and the battering ram. Now, if you remember my previous video, I explained that the siege tower will give you full damage on the city, even if the city has walls. However, this will not affect the mounted units. So let's see, we have a Janissary here. He has 60 melee strength. Let's put him here. He can attack the city now. He has, as I said, 60 melee strength here. This guy starts with 48, so yeah, he is weaker, sure thing. This guy 44. But even the 48 strength knight should be able to do something against this city of Bulawayo. We have the siege tower, so the knight should do, in theory, if you remember my previous video, the knight should do full damage on the city. However, that is not going to happen now. If we attack Bulawayo, we see a new thing. The knight is only doing 3 health damage to the city, which is very little, and it's definitely not the full health damage this guy could do if the city didn't have any walls. If we go with a non-mounted melee unit, however, like the Janissary, when he attacks, he gets a major victory down here, and we see there that we did 37 health points of damage to the city. Now, the knight is weaker, sure, but he should have done at least half of that. Maybe something like that, maybe something on 19, maybe 15, worst case scenario, but not that very small 2 or 3 health points. If we go with the cursor, same situation. We are only doing 4 health points, almost nothing, to the city of Bulawayo. This is because the siege tower is actually not affecting the mounted units anymore. They are not getting any help from that. Again, let's see the huge difference here when we go with the Janissary and we get, look at that yellow bar, 57 health of damage. That is a huge difference. So we want now non-mounted units to take the city of Bulawayo when we have the siege tower next to it. This was a very important change. Now all of a sudden knights are not going to be your main tool for the mid-game war. You want those melee units, you want swordsmen, you want musketmen or Janissaries in this case, because we are playing with the Ottoman Empire and this is our unique unit, but musketmen will do the job just as well when you have the support units. So let's go to the battering ram, for example. This same change is also affecting the battering ram. When adjacent to a city, attacking melee and anti-cavalry units do full damage to the city's walls. You can see here it's more specified, melee and anti-cavalry units. This has changed to better reflect the fact that mounted units, cavalry units, are no longer getting the benefit from the battering ram. They are no longer getting the support from the battering ram, and it makes perfect sense. If you think of what a battering ram is, it makes sense really that only the melee and anti-cavalry units, only the non-mounted units get the benefit from having the battering ram right next to them. And it also helps the game because mounted units were a bit overpowered. The knights in particular were very strong for mid-game wars in Civilization 6, and with this change they are really not so strong anymore. There is another nerf to the battering ram. This new nerf is that the battering ram does not affect medieval or Renaissance walls or urban defenses. Now the change for them not affecting urban defenses, I think it already happened before, but the battering ram was useful against medieval walls, and now they are not useful anymore, so you have to use the battering ram very early in the game. They are only good against ancient walls. And if we go up to the siege tower, I'm trying to click here. Is this not a clickable thing? Oh yeah, yes it is. So when you go up to the siege tower, it doesn't affect cities with Renaissance walls. So the siege tower is still good against medieval walls, but not against Renaissance walls. This means the window of opportunity for the battering rams and siege towers is now much smaller. You have to hurry up for them to be useful. You still have some time. You can see here this is a DD game and I'm using the siege tower on turn 176. However, we are talking here I think about medieval walls. Yeah, we are talking here about medieval walls, so the battering ram is not useful anymore when attacking this city. And it would have been useful with the old version of the game. So you can see here how important this change is. The siege tower is still applicable for a while, but not all game long, and even if it's applicable, it only applies to melee units, not or anti-cavalry, but definitely not the mounted units. So this is a huge change, is a very relevant nerf to the battering ram and the siege tower, which to be honest makes sense, and the battering ram and the siege tower were probably too powerful in the previous version of the game. So I'm not saying this is a bad change for the game. It makes a lot of sense. It balances the game a lot better, but it's a very important nerf for these support units, and you have to keep it in mind. Oops, sorry, I didn't want to do that. You have to keep it in mind when playing mid-game war, because these guys, you have to use them faster, you have to use them with melee units, and all of this will change your strategy quite a lot. Having roads leading to the cities you want to attack is going to be very, very important, because these guys don't have so much movement as the knights did, so you are actually going to really, really need those roads to get to the city you want to invade fast enough. So yeah, all of this information you have to keep it in mind, because as I said, mounted units have been nerfed because of this indirectly, and support units have been nerfed quite a lot. They're still useful. I am not saying you don't have to use them. You can see here how much health points we took from this city with just 2 attacks from the Janissaries. So clearly the siege tower is still good, but it's not so ridiculously strong as it was before. So make sure you keep that in mind when you are invading cities in the mid-game in Civilization 6, now that we have the Gathering Storm update. And that is all for this video. If you want to see specific strategic type of videos, strategic tips for specific moments in the game, please say it in the comments below, and I will try to make more videos that are really interesting, that are really helpful for you guys to improve your game in Civilization 6. Until then, thank you very much for watching.